right, guys, we are back for another episode of which is the best weapon for every single class in Frostborn. And this time we are going to be talking about support class. Support class is a little bit tricky. There's 3 support classes, or someone might call Archmage. You know what? We'll go ahead and throw an Archmage in there, even though the Archmage can use and often does use a combat staff. But we'll go ahead and throw the Archmage in there. So we're going to talk about the 4 best weapons the best weapon for these 4 classes in Frostborn. But first, let me go over the best weapons of Frostborn, just overall. And the staple weapon is the Hell Staff. This is the staff that we've seen from the beginning. It used to be the staple weapon of Frostborn. I think it was the only purple support staff in Frostborn, and it's still a really good one. It gives everyone on your team plus 10% damage. It gives everyone on your team a 6 armor, an aura of 6 armor, and so it's a good staff. It was often the staple weapon for the healer, which every team back then had a healer. So it was a very commonly used weapon. In fact, there were times in the history of Frostborn where it was the most rare weapon in the game because people needed it for every team composition, but they would get broken and people would trade a lot. So you trade like these really nice weapons. Even though the Hell Staff actually has pretty low DPS, at a 43 DPS, it was still so valuable because it was so important for team play, which was a bigger deal at that time. So that's a little bit of trivia there. I want to throw in some information about one other staff. This used to be called the Freya Staff. It is now called the Witch Doctor Staff. It heals 1 health per second. This, for you and your allies, this weapon it's a blue weapon, but there have been times when it was like the best weapon to use in certain situations. I don't think there's any times anymore that's the best weapon to use, but I just figured I would mention that. Then they added the Reaper Staff when they added the Ice Scythe when they added Jotunheim, and the Ice Scythe has its purpose as often found because it's also a combat staff, so it has a much higher DPS, 50 DPS versus the 43 DPS, and then it has it does 15% more damage to anyone with lower than a third health. So it's a good finisher staff. It also has a very high damage. You'll notice the Hell Staff has 26 damage. The Reaper Staff has 35. So that with multipliers can do a pretty big chunk of someone's health. So it was often used for like the Sorcerer. It was the best weapon for the Sorcerer and often for the Shaman. Not as much for the healer because the healer was usually already trying to focus on buffing his team, having a strong team, so the healer would usually still go with that Hell Staff. And then with the Dragon weapon update, the Dragon support staff just clearly took the lead as the best support staff that you could get, because even though its DPS went back down to 44.4, its damage was 40, so that's a big little chunk. But more importantly, its poison damage was 8 damage a second. That's true damage, just like the fire bow, and so it ignore armor, and so that's basically that 8 damage a second didn't just put it up above DPS of a Ice Scythe. It was significantly more, because that 8 was really the equivalent of 16 to 20 DPS, because it was ignoring all that armor, and it wouldn't even clash with the fire bow. The fire bow could do fire damage at the same time you did the Dragon Staff. So it just became the ultimate weapon. But that seems to be changing. Recently, they added the Healing Staff. It's a legendary weapon that has 57 DPS and a 57 attack. So that's a very, very strong attack per hit. It also has a chain healing to nearby allies. But 57 DPS is the highest DPS a healing staff has ever had. Now, if you consider the poison damage against a very high high armored opponent, then you could say the Dragon Support Staff has like a 62 or 64 DPS. So there have been, oh crap. So there have been, a lot of people might still prefer the Dragon Support Staff, but it's at least, it rivals the Dragon Support Staff up there. But just recently, they added the newest one called Freya Staff. This is the new Freya Staff, not this one, which is now called the Witch Doctor Staff. And this staff, this staff has a 62 DPS. So its DPS already rivals the Dragon Support Staff, even when you include the poison damage. And something I forgot to mention, the DPS number can be amplified by numbers. So even though it doesn't ignore armor, if you are like, let's say the Sorcerer, and you get plus 80% damage, that 62 becomes 100 DPS. Whereas the poison damage, even though it ignores armor, stays that same amount. So you have to factor that in. The stronger you are, the more important DPS is versus poison damage. But the craziest thing about this Freya Staff is not only does it have an insane amount of DPS for a support staff, but it increases the efficacy of healing by 30%, both to yourself and to your teammates, allowing a healer to now heal like 400 healing in 5 seconds, okay, to this whole team. And that is, so you can probably guess that just immediately you can be like, okay, I get why the Freya Staff is now the new best weapon for the healing class. I don't think anyone is arguing that. I have Flaw Power on here if you want to say hi.
Hello. What's up, guys?
I can't imagine anyone arguing that the Freya Staff is going to be the new best weapon for a healer. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a new stuff. Is the aura effect, and so yeah, it's very OP, I guess.
Yeah, it makes the healer. I think we're going to see a lot of healers back in the game. But the real question, go ahead.
You can play with Witch Doctor with that class in family to increase even more the healing.
Oh, you're right. It increases the Witch Doctor's healing. It increases, yeah, and it increases even. You know, like I'm gonna go ahead and get hurt real quick, just to show. Let's get my health down a little bit. Oh my gosh, this is taking forever. Let's take off some clothes. All right, this is taking way too long. All right. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna put my clothes back on. So I have this staff on, and I'm gonna click this bandage. Y'all all should know by now the bandages heal 10 per second, but yet I'm healing 13 per second. So bandages are improved by this. Food is improved by this. It is
healing cells as well.
Healing cells, all of that stuff. So if I had Goulash, which does 6 health a second, that would go up to 8. The bandage now goes to 13. So we're looking at you can heal almost 20 per second with just bandage and food. Not to mention you could use a salve or the elixir of survival and increase it by another 20%. Healing's pretty unbelievable what you can do with it if you work the numbers right. And this staff is just the ultimate weapon when it comes to that. Throw this out, I'm getting 20 health a second on the weaker one. So it's no brainer that this is going to be the best staff for the healer. The question is it going to be the best? What is the best staff for the Witch Doctor? Sorry, not the Witch Doctor. The Shaman and the Sorcerer, because and then we'll talk about the Archmage at the end as kind of like a bonus. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to talk about the Archmage, because I kind of want to talk about the Archmage with the Druid. Anyways, we'll get to that later. But the Shaman and the Sorcerer, we definitely need to talk about what is the best weapon. So Flopper, what is, in your opinion, the best weapon for the Shaman?
For the Shaman, I will say it's the Dragon Staff.
The Dragon
Dragon
Staff?
Super Staff. For the poison damage, yes.
The poison damage. So the Shaman, I'm going to go ahead and go into a bush real quick. Just in case a real player shows up. It's rare, but it could happen. Okay. So we're going to go over to the Shaman. Where are you? There's a Sorcerer. Here's the Shaman. So, the Shaman, you have a lot of bonuses, like you take 20% less damage. You've got a lot of stuns. You've got, making them, fearing people, making them run away. You have more health. You don't do a crazy amount of amplifying your damage. So the Freya Staff 62 DPS, you're not going to be amplifying it a whole lot. Whereas the Poison Staff, or the Dragon Support Staff, there's not a lot of damage to amplify. You're really leaning on that true poison damage to do damage to them. And so I think you might be right. It also might bait their Dispel if they're getting hit with too much poison damage, which will allow you to use your skills better. And so, I think I might agree with you. I think that the healing staff is not it.
Yeah, it's too slow.
The Freya Staff would increase your healing. So I could see the Freya Staff still being the best for the Shaman if you're in a team.
Yes.
Like with a Witch Doctor especially, you would maybe still want to use that because you're not just helping yourself. But in solo PvP, I think you nailed it. The Shaman's going to be best with the Dragon Support Staff. Team PvP, honestly, I think the Freya Staff might still be better, especially because if you have a bandit, you want them to heal more, and they'll have the new dagger to do poison damage, so you won't want to stack double poison damage. Okay, so that kind of settles the best weapon for the Shaman. At solo PvP, it's going to be the Poison Staff. Team PvP, it might be the Poison Staff, but it might be Freya Staff. But what about the Sorcerer?
I mean, the Sorcerer is more of a booster, so I would say the Hell Staff.
So I was thinking that too. But recently, let's go ahead and switch over to the Sorcerer real quick. The Sorcerer has plus 90% support staff damage. And then you can get a plus 50% in your Circle of Blessing. So I've been thinking about this, and for a while I was thinking I'm curious about the healing staff with the Sorcerer. But now that I see how unbelievably OP the Freya's staff is, I think the Sorcerer with the Freya Staff is going to be the best bet. One, because usually if you have a Sorcerer, you're not going to have a healer. You might have a Witch Doctor. And people don't really play the Sorcerer as a solo PvP. That would be really dumb. Don't do that. But let's go ahead and see if we can't see what kind of damage we can do. There's no Berserk Potion here, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this up. And I just did 200 and... Wait, how much damage did I do against this guy? 253 damage, no Berserk Potion, with one shot on a giant. Now, as the Sorcerer, you get that plus 20% bonus against enemies And I'm also in Instigator gear, which is giving me another plus 30% damage to monsters. So, but even then, 150 damage is a pretty... Oh, man, we need to just... I wish I could play against a player right now.
We can try to match in zone.
Okay, I'm in the red forest if you want to try to pop in.
But we have to leave the clan.
Oh, well, actually, it doesn't work. If we're in the same clan, there's a cooldown on when you can find each other in zones. At least in the real game, you can't leave clan and immediately find each other in a zone. You have to wait like several days.
Wow.
Yeah. At least that's how it used to be. I haven't checked in a while, but I bet you it is. I'm gonna look for a bot real quick. See if I can find someone. I mean, people probably get the idea. This is pretty crazy damage. I'm doing 200 damage a shot. But obviously there's a bonus. There's almost a plus 50% bonus. But then when you throw in this ring, did 250 damage a shot. It's just pretty insane. That plus 50% is going to be... Oh, wait. I forgot. The ring is only 20% more damage to monsters and plus 50% enemy to players.
Yeah.
So I just did 250 damage. The ring would be doing 30% more. The armor would be making me do 30% less. So it's actually more comparable than you might think. So it's just a ton of damage. And so I think that the Freya Staff, and not to mention, if you're going to play Sorcerer, your team needs to be healing themselves. And so the fact that you're making their bandages work better, their food healing better, everything's healing better. I think, in my mind, it's a no-brainer that the Freya Staff is going to be the best weapon for the Sorcerer, because you really want to lean on that plus 90% staff damage, support staff damage. But maybe there's something I'm not thinking of. I mean, I think that's, yeah. All right, what do you think, Flopper? You got anything to say on that?
I don't really know, but yeah, I think the Freya Staff is better.
The Freya Staff just has such crazy DPS. Nothing can quite compare in the support area. Now there is one more thing that I wanted to mention to the devs to try to see if they I don't know. I love that the Ice Scythe allows it to be a combat staff and a support staff. I think that's a really cool, having the dual weapons, like the Skull Claws being a dagger and a melee weapon. I think there should be more of that. And I was thinking about it, and one thing I wanted to pitch to the devs is the idea that the Freya Mace should be both a heavy melee and a support staff. Because traditionally in RPGs and stuff like that, cleric characters can have, a mace. Like that's a normal, that's not a weird thing. It's Freya, which is already kind of like they've kind of coined her as healing and some of those things. So making the Freya's mace being a heavy melee and a support staff, keeping the damage the same, you're now going to have a support weapon with 70 DPS, which, with a, oh crap, this is not going well. All right, I'm gonna heal up. This is not going well. No! 2 people attacking me?
What?
Oh, they're on the... Oh, am I in family PvP? Oh, I was in a family PvP zone. Well, those guys just got really rich. You're welcome. Oh, man. Well, that was all my healing items. No, I have more. But I did have one of every type of healing item. I'm going to go back and say hi to them. That's pretty funny. Welcome to OBT. So, but I think that, so what it would do is the healer would have to go melee, which is not really that smart. I think the Shaman might use it. Honestly, I don't know if any of the support classes would use it because a ranged weapon is just so much better than a melee weapon. But I could see the Sorcerer trying to use it and trying to get that, you know, plus 90%. Hello, I'm naked. Hello. Hi, guys. Say hi to YouTube. No worries. And did they? Oh, they gave me all my stuff back. This is OBT for you guys. That is awesome. Hope we didn't mind the video. No, period. Not at all, period. You made it more exciting for sure. Okay, period. Since you guys are here, period, I want your opinion on whether or not you guys think the Freya Mace should be allowed to be both a heavy melee and a support weapon. All right, what did boss say? Helios feels really bad. Oh, he's Spanish. I don't want to repeat all that. Can I copy it? No, I just copied my name. Here, try it on me. I follow you in too, but I thought you weren't the real one. Okay, let me try to do this. Can I attack you once with this staff to show something in the video? Is he wanting me? Oh, nice. All right, let me let's see. Let's just move things around. They took my bandages, which is fine, but might make it a little bit hard for me to heal. All right. I'm gonna. They took my soups too. So look at that, 65 damage a shot. Let's see on this guy. 58 damage a shot. That's crazy. Yes, period. It is very strong for the Sorcerer. Wait, it didn't put Sorcerer in there. For the Sorcerer. Okay. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be the best weapon for the Sorcerer because especially when you think that I'm also making my whole team heal faster. But back to, I think that the mace should be here because imagine, okay, let's see. I'm going to do attack with this. Oops, 36 plus 90% on that. That's going to be, sorry. I mean, I did do that on purpose, and he'll see that in the video, but he'll understand why I did it in the video. So imagine being able to hit that guy with 90% more. I mean, it'd be a great damage, but I'm going to be using light clothing. That's the problem with the Sorcerer and the Healer. So I don't think people will use it a whole lot, but I do think that they will. I think that it will be a fun option, in my opinion. And if they ever buff it, also, what is its skill? Its skill allows every 5th strike to immobilize them. That's not really going to benefit a Sorcerer, okay, or a Healer, or really a Shaman either, okay. But it's still fun to have that little cross play. Also, if you get a Wolf that gives you plus 7% support staff and plus 7% melee weapons, you might be like, ooh, I want to make this work, you know? And so anyways, that's my petition to the devs. If you guys agree that Freya's mace should be both a heavy melee and a support staff, please put in the comments. But before you do, listen to what Flawpower has to say. Flawpower, do you have any thoughts on why that might be a problem? People could manipulate it, make it bad if they did something like that?
I don't know, but I have a suggestion about the mace.
All right, tell us the suggestion of the mace.
Is to make it a weapon like the cleaver. You can hit multiple enemies.
Oh, so you could like root multiple players.
Yes.
And every 5th strike, you would just like immobilize a group of people.
Yes.
Well, so here's what I think they should do with the mace. I like that, but here's what I think they should do. Oh my gosh, these guys are just giving me stuff now. That's so generous of them. I'll definitely take the shield. I think Helios feels guilty, but he really doesn't need to feel guilty. He did nothing wrong. He was just playing the game, and it was in OBT, but that's very sweet of him. All right, I'm gonna get a backpack. It's very generous of him. Okay, so here's what I think. On the 5th strike, they should change the animation, and he hits the ground, and it does a big circle around it, like maybe even the size of like a bandit stun, and it does that 0.5 second immobilization, which is not much. A 0.5 second immobilization isn't much, but it would look so cool, and it would be a little disruptive. I think it'd be, and you know, in a team play, you're hitting them enough, and when that would happen, it would make people be like, what's happening? Oh, okay, it was just a half a second. It's not that big of a deal, but it kind of threw us off a little bit. What do you think? Is that too powerful?
It looks cool.
Yeah, I don't think
It sounds
copper. Do you have? Yes. All right, I'm gonna give these guys some copper ingots. Okay, so any other ideas on what they could do with the mace? Because the mace is the lamest Freya weapon.
Yeah, with the crossbow. The crossbow is not that good.
So people have been saying that, and maybe I just don't understand, but the crossbow has like, 72 DPS, which is pretty insane. 72.5 DPS. That feels like a lot.
Wait. I didn't know they had so much DPS.
Yeah, it's crazy DPS. 72?
That's too much, I think.
You're like, they need to buff the crossbow. No, wait, that's too strong. I think so, man. I think it's going to be, and it says in the top, it says poison deals 30% weapon damage for, basically it also does poison, but I don't think it actually also does poison.
Yeah, so it sounds balanced now you say it's a lot of DPS.
Yeah, I think that as long as it doesn't do, if it does that DPS, and will proc poison damage, it's too powerful. But I don't think it actually procs poison damage. I think they took away the poison damage and gave it to the dagger.
It's every 8 hits, I think. It's like the mace, but every
Eighth hit?
Yes.
Let me check. Let me see. There it is. Every 7 hit immobilizes them. Oh, and poisons it. You're right. Poison deals. Oh my gosh. Well, that's going to be another episode, guys. We're going to be talking about the archer thing. In fact, that will probably be the next episode. But in this episode, to summarize, the Freya Staff is by far the best weapon for the healer. It is maybe the best weapon for the shaman in a team setting, but in a solo setting, the dragon support staff still takes the cake on being the best there. And then for the sorcerer, I think I made a pretty good argument that the Freya Staff is going to be the best for it. You shouldn't be playing the sorcerer in solo PvP, but in team PvP, the Freya Staff just is incredible. It allows... Oh no. Here, there's your water. Sorry about that. I thought I put it in there and I just put it in my quick slot. So the Freya Staff definitely seems to be the best weapon for the sorcerer. Incredibly high DPS with that plus 90% support staff. And then especially when you throw down that thing to get an extra 50% towards players. It's just unbelievable damage. You guys saw I did 58 damage to a guy in full heavy gear, duelist. That's really good damage for each shot. So I really think the sorcerer eventually someday people are going to just realize is so OP and it's going to become a big deal. But until that day happens, I'm just going to keep telling y'all about it. And hopefully one day it'll catch on. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.